Hi, I'm Mike Shope. Welcome to ADP Chasing Week 13. We had Josh Allen. Did we ever? We had Bijan Robinson. We had Kirk Cousins. We had Parker Washington. And it feels like a long time ago, I think, but we also had Brock Bowers. And there were 3 games before Raiders Chiefs. So lots to talk about. Critical week. Last week of the best ball season on Underdog going into week 14. And, high stakes stuff. It's all happening right now with Davis Maddock and Pat Kerrane. I'm Mike Shope. Welcome to ADP Chasing, December 2nd, 2024.
ADP Chasing is for when you watch Ship Chasing, you go, these guys are just football guys.
And the targets per outrun leagues, that's going to be really nice.
Actually, back in if it's Ashane.
Stare into our crystal ball. Close your eyes. All your entries are going to lose anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is a Deuce Vaughn show.
It's anti-cabal. It's anti the best ball thought leaders. I'm obviously lying to some degree because, I have a lot of both of these guys.
It's the most disgusting pick you can make. But, man.
So I am dragging a little bit, to be honest, on this late Monday morning here in sunny Buffalo in the East after last night's another beatdown from the Bills in prime time. Pat, did I detect some anti-snow game bias from you recently on Ship Chasing, or was that just Pete doing a bit about his dad who was...
I don't remember any. What was my anti-snow game bias?
I don't know. You guys were trying to... What does the weather mean in terms of fantasy football strategy? Pete did a great few minutes on how his dad tried to predict thunderstorms when they were at the zoo.
Right. That's good. No, I don't. I think I was just trying to figure out if we could get an edge. I'm not team Denny who wants domes everywhere. Denny's just build a dome in every cold weather city in the nation so that we have, real football in the winter. It would be his argument. I don't know. I don't mind the snow so much. I don't like it when it's minus 30 and both teams are let's run the ball and go home. That seems bad, but I kind of like the elements a little bit. As long as it's warm enough to move, I like the elements.
I mean, Davis, last night was gorgeous, no?
Yeah. So I go back and forth. I go back and forth. It's obviously terrible for the game we love. The 49ers and the Bills were not interested in the forward pass last night. But it's very cool for watching the game. So if you are sort of more someone who loves ball, you love to watch your team physically manhandle the opposing team, the Jameis 2-point conversion in the snow with the mic hanging out. It's a great moment. You know how many fantasy points Jameis Winston scored in that game? 13.9.
Yeah.
So
you say 10.
It's a matter of where your preferences lie at the given moment. I think obviously fantasy football would be far better if there were just 32 domes, but I don't know. I mean, given that I fade expensive Bills players every year in fantasy football, I probably am okay with them.
Yeah, Davis, I don't know that it would be better, be higher scoring, but it might be even harder,
I mean, could anything make fantasy football more difficult than Saquon Barkley getting spotted 20 points a week? I really don't think so. Really, there is no every team I'm getting through. I've got a couple FFPC sprint teams that are very live, that are good enough that I think we could maybe win some real money. None of them featuring Saquon Barkley. And let me tell you, those teams, I feel like I have just fought a goddamn battle to get those teams across the finish line.
You absolutely have. Yeah, that's how I feel about every team I have that's advancing. It's just I mean, the tough part about Saquon is that he's so clearly the guy you want going forward.
Going forward, right.
It's not even he got you here, but no.
Henry and Kamara, you can cope and be well, Henry and Kamara, they'll do their thing, but they're not going to be the guy you had to have.
Although There'll be plenty.
I mean, I'd still rather have Chase Brown than Derrick Henry right now. And I don't even mean that in a slappy way. I mean that for real. I mean that, and I actually do expect Chase Brown to score more points.
Derrick Henry in projections and ranks is running back 9 every week, running back
every
10.
Week.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so a second round pick and BRs every week.
It's not the same as Saquon in terms of what we project forward. He obviously has a massive ceiling every week, but
I'm sorry, are you guys talking about Bucky Irving yet? Or are we still holding that off? I mean,
oh man, the Bucky Irving people, I sadly feel that a hard rain is going to fall for the Bucky Irving people.
Is that right?
Do you know how many snaps he played yesterday, Mike?
Well, at least 25, because I believe he had at least 25 handoffs.
That's a safe guess.
He played 42 snaps. Rashad White played 42 snaps. He ran 11 passing routes. Rashad White ran 22. This is not now Bucky Irving. You definitely want to have him on your teams. You would love if you have Bucky Irving on your teams right now. You're saying Alvin Kamara. I got Bucky Irving. But are you going to be in the fantasy football playoffs? It's week 15. I don't even know who the Buccaneers play. It's going to be a play on the 7-yard line. And you're going to be like, why is number 1 in there? Why is Rashad White?
I don't know. I think
that kind of happened in overtime yesterday, a little bit, actually.
Well, Bucky got hurt on a kickoff.
He got hurt,
and then got injured again on his last run of the game, and then did not come back in the overtime. He said he's going to be fine. I am a Bucky Irving person, but I've done this long enough. You guys have all done this long enough. I love to celebrate the good things that are happening to all of us right now. But if we are going to rightfully be like, well, it's a problem that Derrick Henry only plays 57% of the snaps, we also have to apply that same metric to our favorite players.
Sure, but I mean, you got Bucky for free, and Henry was a 3rd-round pick or 4th-round pick.
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
It's still massive. I should have more Bucky than I do, and I think part of the reason I don't is because of that line of thinking of like, well, how's he going to displace Rashad White? Really, he's still probably going to play close to half the snaps, even if he takes the job. And yesterday was just such a clear and, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
If he's really good, he's running all over the defense while Rashad White looks stuck in mud. Like they're just gonna feature him on the ground. And snap share is important, but there can be a lot of empty snaps, and it's like high value snaps versus low value snaps,
So that's obviously a great point. The thing I would be concerned about is the way Liam Cohen has done this year is the place that he seemed to most go away from Bucky is inside the 10-yard line. That's the place you're most often going to be like, wait, Sean Tucker played 5 snaps and all of them were in goal to go situations. And Sean Tucker went to 0 again this week because he fumbled last week. But every time Sean Tucker has gone to 0, the coaching staff has been like, well, we should bring him back in a little bit.
Well, that's what you have to worry about with Bucky, I think, is that Tucker gets a little more run if Bucky's a little banged up. Because Tucker looks really good. Tucker and Bucky are both so much better runners than Rashad White. But the problem for Bucky is that it's not just him versus White. Although I agree with you about the fumble. The fumble kind of unlocked this, and who knows? Maybe they stick with Bucky going forward. Maybe he's totally fine.
25 carries is 25 carries, and there is some passing down work. The Bucks go Raiders at the Chargers at Dallas, which I believe somehow is still amazing on a Sunday night. I mean, isn't there don't we live in a country? And then Carolina.
Clearly
in
not.
Week 17, the rematch from yesterday. So,
my God.
I do just want to make this point to the ship chasers in the chat, who I do love. These arguments you guys are making for Bucky right now, these are the Derrick Henry boomer arguments. You are
free.
Quite.
You got them for free.
I agree with you. The thing, it just drives me nuts. This drives me nuts in every facet of life when people are purposefully hypocritical. When they do the one thing and they say, these people are stupid because they view the data this way. But when I use the data this way, I'm a genius. It drives me nuts. Obviously, Bucky is like giga breaking out. But when you go look at projections this week, probably no one has good projections up yet. But when you do, you are going to be stunned to see Bucky projecting for like 16.7 instead of whatever Chase Brown.
Yeah, it'll be running back 8 because everybody's on bye this week, though. It'll be fine, Listen, Didn't you just say, just embrace what we're winning with?
That's kind yes, but you know what this reminds me of, Davis? It's like last year's Chuba. It's not Kyron. Chase Brown is more the Kyron.
Yeah. No, and very good point.
But like, people should be happy that they found this year's Chuba. That's awesome.
Of course, you should be. I mean, I don't even know how much Bucky I have. I know I happen to have him on several of my very high leverage teams, so I'm like actively rooting for him. right now. Like this breakout is very good for me financially, but I just encourage everyone. You'll be better at the game. You will play better. You'll have better results if you think through these. If you think through players you like the same way you think through players you do not like.
Well, what we're gonna have to think about is where do we take Bucky next year, and that's
what I was going to ask next.
There we go.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's where I swing over to your side, Davis.
Bucky Irving or Christian McCaffery?
McCaffery, and so right there, I'm going to be priced out of the Bucky market.
What even is it? Is it third, fourth? Can't be third.
What's the highest ETN ever went? Bucky Irving is very ETN.
Early second.
He went 3-4.
Early second.
Yeah.
No, this year, last year, right? Last year. I mean, he went into each of the last 2 seasons as kind of the clear RB1 in Jacksonville. Everybody gave up on Tank Bigsby this year because he had 5 bad plays.
He was in the 4th round this year.
Yeah.
He was in the 3-4 turn the year before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't remember before that. Because he was coming off the injury.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
I'm trying to think of the highest spot that ETN ever went, but it really does remind me of ETN. The 7 games where ETN was good, which feels like a far cry. But there was a time.
Well, they also, isn't it right that they sort of wore him out? I mean, they even admitted it last year that by the time we got to the fantasy playoffs, ETN was like kind of shot. And maybe that was also 2 years ago when they were good.
The thing about ETN was that he has a cool name and his splash plays look really cool. So you think of ETN as like this, he's kind of this electric sort of pace and space pass catcher. He's never been a good pass catcher. He actually is more of like a success rate grinder when he's been good. When ETN has been good, he's been like, he turns a lot of 2-yard gains into 4.5-yard gains. So it just, he's always kind of, and also he was a great college running back. When guys are great in college, it sticks with them forever. As to our point, Crane, last week with McNichols, like when a guy is great in college, you can never ever.
Well, as Saquon Barkley's showing us, maybe it should stick with us. Maybe we should stick with those priors a little longer because
it's a flat circle
in the NFL for a while.
It's all a flat circle. Wow,
pretty good in college and pretty good as a rookie.
It's always Saquon.
Yeah. I once voted for Christian McCaffery to win the Heisman. Speaking of good in college. And let's just, for this year at least, maybe not next year. We're already drafting him next year, I'm hearing. But let's say our goodbyes. 50 for 202 and 0, lest we forget the 15 for 146 and 0 through the air. Can we just do a minute or two? I know this show legally is binded to being 1 hour and 3 seconds long. But just sort of a moment on what McCaffery feels like now at the 101. I mean, what it feels like is a miss, but how wrong were we?
I don't think we were that wrong. We had no reporting. Any fading of McCaffery would have been the same process that would have led you to fade Kamara, basically.
Like he did have an injury though that we knew about.
He had a thing he was working through.
A calf injury.
It wasn't a big deal. It was fine, but he was working.
And he had an age. He also had an age. I know that's what's ironic about this year is all these other Mixons and Camaras just keep going. They don't leave the field.
Mixon.
Right.
I think that we definitely think through, these offenses and these coaches and what they can bring to the table. Like, you're getting McVay's back. McVay's like a really sharp guy, but we also know that he like uses the same running back all the time. Like it was kind of crazy to see Blake Corum out there at all yesterday. Because he just tends to play the same guy all the time, right? They have tendencies beyond the scheme. One of Shanahan's tendencies is that he's a fucking liar. That's a consistent.
That's a tendency.
Yeah, he keeps as much as he can from the media at all times. I think we kind of knew that. Now this year, like definitely underlined that in a big way, but. I think we should have known enough to be like, let's treat this like kind of, I don't know how serious injury. We can't get any good reporting on it, but he's the 101 and Shanahan is sketchy. So let's not take him 101. I think it was probably a mistake to keep him at 101. I know when we did some high stakes drafts with co-managers for ship chasing, so these are managed leagues, we'd be talking through like 101 stuff, and we got off of McCaffery there. And I think in part it's like, hey, we're doing like this one big draft. Let's not like blow it with the first pick. And I think in best ball it's easier to go, well, I'm doing
500 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to have my McCaffery. And if it's the 101, like, and there's like, I don't know, the next time Shanahan,
by the way,
I'm dropping him a little bit.
Pat, I think that's right, because in the context of this year, a healthy McCaffery would have been the only way to keep up with Barkley teams. He is the only player.
Well, unless you just drafted Barkley.
Unless you just, yeah, sure. I think that, I guess if we're trying to play better, the lesson would be if a 28-year-old running back does have a lower body injury in the preseason, it doesn't matter what the coaches say. You should.
That's right.
You should take notice of that. Doesn't matter what the coaches say, but if a guy is not I think just the key is he did not practice for weeks.
Right.
Well, right. And we knew that already, that it doesn't matter what the coaches say, right? We sort of all preached that. And he was older, but it's the other bias. We had just had him destroy us the previous year, where we also made many of the same arguments against an older running back. Was it 2 years ago that it was when it was McCaffery and Jonathan Taylor? And it's exactly, I remember what you just said, how, I have this many teams, so I want to make sure I get both. But, there were other factors that could have steered us away from McCaffery. I don't know who we were supposed to pick, though. I mean, other than the diversity point.
We would have taken CD or Tyreek, I guess, both of which would have been bad picks. But I do think, that part doesn't matter as much to me. Like, it matters more that, like, we drafted with the 101 as a group, we selected a guy who was like really hurt and didn't play for most of the season. And then he came back and was not that great. Like, that's kind of bad, And I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, we shouldn't, like, in that situation, we probably should just be like a little bit more cautious, even if the coaches are saying good things. But I do think, like, if Dan Campbell was like, nah, he's like totally good, he'll be out there week 1, I'd be more inclined to roll with that. I do think there's something where, like, if a dude has a history of kind of hiding stuff and the guy's not practicing, we should just be a little more cautious, I think, at the 101.
He'll go into next year on a team. What will be the expectations with San Francisco? Like, is Debo there? They're older everywhere. Are they going to pay Brock Purdy?
I don't think
McCaffery will go in at
team.
Maybe
Debo's
not.
Going to be on a different team, I think.
He'll go in at 29. Turns 29 in June. Off 9. No,
Debo.
He'll go in with almost 1,900 touches, despite his shortened season this year. It's kind of sketchy, and I think next year we'll be in a landscape where everybody's going to want to, pivot to drafting these running backs more confidently. I just don't know where it leaves him.
Man, if CMC is the Kamara price next year, which I don't think he will be.
No, I think he'll still be very expensive.
It will really depend on what this knee injury is. If he has to have a surgery for this PCL. If he starts on the PUP, like, imagine if it's August and he's on the PUP, you think he's going to be second round pick?
Zeke
no chance.
Sure, but like, Zeke was absolutely 100% washed
cooked,
and went in the fourth round, like cooked and went in the fourth round. And Zeke was never as good as CMC.
Boy, does that Kamara fade. The more we think about it, the worse. I think not being in on Kamara is truly one of the dumbest things I've done.
It's one of the dumbest things I've done.
Planet.
It's so dumb. It's so absolutely dumb.
Well, is McCaffery going to be?
Hurts me so much more than the Barkley one, even though the Barkley one hurts.
Yeah.
Is McCaffery going to be our RB2 though? I mean, like, are we drafting
no
receiver again? And
it'll be the RB2 is going to be Ashton Jeanty, buddy.
I think it'll be Bijan.
I'm not even. Oh yeah, it'll be.
I think Bijan will be RB2. Bijan's just so, like, he was.
No, I mean, I'm sorry. On our build, like on our rosters.
Oh,
are we already drafting some other running back because it's a different season, and then McCaffery comes in 3-4 turn or whatever it is, and like, all right, well, he could be back.
Frankly, I feel as if I'm not going to learn anything from this season, and I'm going to draft wide receivers even harder. So he probably will be my running back one on teams where I take him.
Yep.
I think it's tough to think of a comp.
His comps are like guys who played in the 90s. His comps are like Marshall Faulk and things like that.
Oh, this is where I should be. This is my moment here. This is my chance to actually get a good point from Davis. I could actually.
Where did
Eckler?
So
Eckler's a good one.
Eckler went at the 1-2 turn the year after, but he was coming off a good year, but he had fallen off of some of the peripherals, and he went in the 1-2 turn. 20
touchdowns.
He was coming on an awesome year. But I don't know that McCaffery can really get outside the third.
No, I am checking one.
That's what Jewish McCaffrey's had him at. I think that's
so. What I'm checking, his cap hit if he's cut, it's not crazy. His dead cap number, if I'm reading this correctly, is never mind. He doesn't really have an out in his contract until after next season.
What should they do
for the 49ers? Like that doesn't make sense for them to get rid of him. I don't think.
Well, what should they do?
I mean, they should
trade Debo.
No one will take him. I think they should.
No one will take him. The New England Patriots are ready to trade for Debo tomorrow. They will trade.
It's a fit. It's the Amari Cooper trade, only worse. Like it's just sort of we'll take your money and we'll take the older veteran, but you're not going to get anything from it. And then what else should they do?
From the Patriots, you might be able to get a third.
That's
if you can get a third as long as they get to keep their jobs.
I think
that actually was me saying that's fair, by the way. That was not a bit or anything or a throwback.
I think unironically the 49ers should just run it back. They should be like, dude, it was just a bad year. Trent Williams got hurt. Ayuk got hurt. Debo got pneumonia. McCaffrey had an Achilles. Purdy injured his shoulder. It's just bad luck. I think you just run it back.
To be clear, I also think the Patriots should sign T. Higgins, but why not both, guys? Why not both?
Yeah, why not both?
Why not?
Truly, why not both? They're like Kayshon Boutte is like by far their best outside wide receiver. Like you got to do something.
You got to do something. Kayshon Boutte.
You guys are an hour or 3 hours behind me, so I'm sure you enjoyed the game last night. The scenes we talked about the snow for a second. Everybody just ran at will. Then it became Mason and Garendo. Mason 13 carries, I think. Garendo 4, but he scored. Anything we care about? It's Mason, isn't it? Or did Garendo's
Mason is gonna fully round trip from best pick and best ball to LOL. Can't believe you thought you were gonna win Best Ball Mania because you took a 49ers running back to best pick and best ball. Full round
because
trip.
He's not gonna be that high. He's gonna have like a normal advance rate now.
Normal advance rate.
Yeah,
yep.
It's pretty good. He's a pretty amazing pick. I have him on a team that I have him on a 5-5-5 that's advancing and like doesn't have any running backs. I think it has like Rashad White. Like there's nobody on it, but I was like, if Eno Benjamin comes to life, I'm cooking with this 5-5-5 team.
Yeah,
that was my yearbook quote actually.
Yeah, it has
Eno
Mason,
Benjamin comes to life. Look out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to look up the 49ers playoff odds while you're talking. What do you think they are?
That's funny. I said Eno Benjamin, but I actually meant Trey Benson.
And
they're just the same.
Wow.
They're the same.
They are the same.
I'd rather have Eno on that team, I think, than Trey.
I don't care what the 49ers odds are. The 49ers odds are 0. There's no shot
to make the playoffs.
Okay. Well,
they're fourth in their division, and they have 2 games that they have 1 game that is completely unwinnable. What are the Lions going to be favored in San Francisco? They're going to be favored by 9.5 or something.
It depends what they need. It's that's week 17, isn't it? Do we know that one? Like,
does it depend on
what?
But
the division.
Dan Campbell's like, who cares about winning today?
Yeah, Purdy is legitimately injured. I mean, that's the thing. If Purdy was healthy, sure, whatever. But Purdy is out there like gritting and grinding through like a separated shoulder. There's no chance.
Yeah.
Well, nothing for the Buffalo vibes. Come on. I mean, here we are. This is my third week, I think, with you guys, and we talked about the 1 seed a couple of times. Seth Walder at ESPN Davis has it as a coin flip with the Chiefs a game ahead. Chiefs doing it again.
Buddy, I am rooting. I am rooting for the Bills to get the 1 seed. That is better for the way that I want to play playoff contests, then like, do you like getting the Chiefs to not have a bye and getting 10th round, like Noah Gray every time? I sign me up for that. That's what I want. I would prefer to fade expensive Bills players and load up on Chiefs getting.
How many?
Yeah, I don't know. I think this
there?
week I'm just going to draft like Bills are getting the bye, and try to get as many Bills as I can without them being overly expensive, but then also plan for them to have the bye. I'm not going to get greedy. I don't think they're getting the bye. The Chiefs are dying to lose these games. They're dying to lose.
They're like actively. They're like, please, sir, please, just will you beat us, please? We're begging you.
Yeah.
Will you do anything? Like they're gluttons. I mean, they're so bad. They are so bad.
They're so bad.
I'm to the point now where I no longer think it's like an effort or a Patriots thing where it's like we're so great we can't even get up for these games. I just think part of it is Nagy, where he's just not very good at his job. Big part of it is Kelsey cannot move anymore. Kelsey can still do, you actively see it. He can get open every play, but he gets open about 8 yards away. He can't do, because when you think in your mind's eye, like what's the Kelsey play? It's he's wide open when he's wide open 11 yards down the field, and then he runs. Then he gets like 30 yards. He turns around. He makes a safety net. He can't do any of that. He, as Mark Tassel says, he is in his Zach Ertz era. He's in his catch and fall down era. Yeah.
Yeah, his he's fourth worst in yak score this year, but he's like eighth best in open score.
That's exactly the player he is.
It's so funny. He's one behind Zach Ertz in open score, but Zach Ertz is second worst in yak score. So it's literally he's become Zach Ertz.
And also, like, could we just get one accurately thrown deep pass from Pat? Just one. Just one that is in an area where Xavier Worthy can corral it. It's getting like, that's the other thing. I'm not going to criticize Pat too much because they're 11-1 and like you saw in that touchdown throw.
That is fair.
Did you see like the touchdown throw he made to Justin Watson? Like when he released it, it's like no one's doing that. Like he's still great, obviously, but the deep throws, man, they're really, really bad.
Well, the one play I'm thinking of was a pass to the right sideline on Friday where it might have been a 20 or 25-yard pass, and it's like 3 feet over his head.
He just misses Worthy. Yeah.
Don't you wonder if there is a Worthy component to that? I mean, is he supposed to take that angle differently? Because
you want Worthy to get more open than no defender in the frame?
Are you questioning Xavier Worthy's attention to detail?
I'm just trying to keep the conversation moving. That's all I'm
doing. No. Weirdly,
that's all I'm here for.
The last like 3 weeks, I've been like, yeah, Worthy is bad, but like these miscues are not his fault. These are mostly on Pat.
I kind of like having Worthy going forward here. I mean, I want to start him. It's Sunday night against LA. By the way, to the Chiefs-Bills discussion, the Chiefs are a 4-point favorite Sunday night against the Chargers, who may or may not have McConkey in that game. The Bills are a 4-point favorite at the Rams.
That is going to be Chargers Chiefs is going to be one of the most unwatchable slop fests you've ever seen in your, just like Samaj P. Ryan and Gus Edwards trading blows, dude. Just some of the worst shit you can imagine.
We got to have some snow then. Please no.
Really?
This is why we can't have dome. We can't have this in a dome. For no excuses. This is just what it is. I can't.
The Chiefs trading away Tyreek, like I know they won 2 Super Bowls, but it feels like a real monkey's paw situation. Don't you feel like, oh sure, you get your Super Bowl, but then this is what you have to become. You have to become
right.
Like you play like your Ball State on offense. I mean, it's just.
Yeah. I love that you, having won 2 Super Bowls, are still interstellar bookcase with I am. Chiefs.
No, for me personally, it's way worse. It's been financially worse for me for them to have traded away Tyreek Hill and then watch them win these Super Bowls. Like,
yeah.
Can we just get Tyreek? You don't want to play for Miami. Come home, dude.
But Davis, size it all up. You're doing all right. I mean, financially worse. Come on, you got your following, you've got us, you've got your, your family. Come on, you got Oklahoma.
Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls.
Chiefs
you got your rings. You've got your rings. I have none ever.
The thing is and this is gonna. I mean, no one's gonna want to hear this. The Eagles Super Bowl winning on a Juju Smith-Schuster defensive pass interference. Do I even really remember that game?
Oh, yes, you do vividly.
I do.
As Roto Pat would say, cut his mic.
That was a terrible
mic.
Now, I would say probably literally the happiest I've been as an adult watching a football game was McCole Hardman scoring a touchdown. I mean, that was just like that was the zenith of human experience. Like that was unbelievable watching that play. That was incredible.
That was
last year.
Pretty good.
Last year when he didn't know that it ended the game.
Yes. Yeah,
you did. That added to your pleasure. You knew it ended the game.
I mean, if Hardman had known the situation, that would have been so out of character.
There's no way he could have pulled it off. The fact that he just thought we'll just score.
He would have dropped if he knew that ended the game. He would have dropped it or ran the wrong route or committed an illegal formation penalty.
Week 14. What are the vibes like in Buffalo now, Mike? How are you? Is it starting?
I mean, probably better than ever.
Team of Destiny.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that stuff, but people love it. I think probably better than ever because Bills fans this year were forced with accepting that Diggs was gone, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Trey White. Like this was supposed to be a transition year the other way. And now they are 10-2 for the first time since the Kelly teams. And they just look so much better than Kansas City. Baltimore has 5 losses. They might not look better than Baltimore, but they have 5 losses.
Baltimore's offensive line is so bad that even I, as a very casual ball knower, know that it's like they cannot win a Super Bowl unless they change their protections.
Okay, so maybe. We've got snow games. They've won 7 straight since losing to the Ravens and Texans back-to-back. And you've got Sean McDermott and Josh Allen doing snow angels. What's maybe different about my world as a local sports radio host is like Bills fans, especially when the team is good. When they're bad, they sort of with you. When they're good, they push back against any sort of critical thinking or analysis or any observation that isn't sort of go Bills. So a few weeks ago, they were playing, like maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago now, they played Tennessee and they didn't look good at all. They're struggling. It's a 2-minute warning, and they run the clock down to the 2-minute warning, which is not what you want to see. Allen comes to the sideline. McDermott is kind of walking in the direction, sort of they're going to dissect, and they both sort of jerk their heads the other way, like what you would not do in a normal situation if you were sort of like working together.
Well, and so almost, yeah.
Weird. So I tweeted that, and now it's sort of like back in the circulation because they're doing snow angels and they're winning. I mean, I think I had a point. All I'm trying to do is bring out stuff like that and make it interesting. But
on the scale of like how close was it to Aaron Rodgers shoving Salah away?
Not that close at all. No, I definitely wasn't thinking like that. But why would there be such a disconnect? And I don't know. I just thought it was interesting in the moment, and here we are. They haven't lost since, and all is good. I think the vibes really are, though, better than ever because Kansas City looks so bad. It's funny it's incredible how bad they look, and they're winning all these games the way they are. So, I mean, this is it.
Like they look so bad that you forget about how bad they looked before. Like the fact that they really should have lost to the Raiders. Yeah, it's like it's like, oh yeah, and they were bad the week before as well. So I don't know. I mean, I suppose they could just kind of keep this rolling until they get the bye. But if the Bills get the 2 seed, they're most likely to play who? Denver?
Well, that's interesting too. So Seth Walder today, did I mention this? He has it as a 67% chance at ESPN that there will be at least one 9-win AFC playoff team.
I saw this, yeah.
That could end up being Houston as the AFC South winner, or it could be Indianapolis or Miami or even the Browns. I mean, that would be incredible. Denver, one of those teams. I don't know. What's Baltimore at this point? 8-5? I think you'd want to avoid that. if possible.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's the difference. The Bills have had, the Chiefs had it when they played Roethlisberger. The Bills have had, as the 2 seed, I mean, who have they faced? Mason Rudolph last year, Skylar Thompson, Mac Jones, Rivers. Actually, in 4 years, they've had that first home playoff game, and those are the quarterbacks they faced, and they've gotten beaten 3 of the next 4. But anyway, your question was, what does it feel like? It feels great.
Yeah. I mean, so what do you think about, like, they looked so bad against like the Ravens and stuff, and you kind of like, what do you think happened?
Dalton Kincaid got hurt.
Yes. No.
Is that real?
Not well. It's always been Davis. It's always looked really forced. And
every Kincaid target is the most tortured Sean Payton ass. 9 guys have to move. A blocker has to go here. Allen has to roll here. Like, it's just it's gotta be it has to be so brutal to get Kincaid a 6-yard slant.
Did they have the draft capital investment? So he's missed the last 2 games. I mean, Cooper isn't even happening either. I don't know what to think. I mean, they're having a joyride this year.
Are we to Dalton Kincaid, Lucas Kroll, Spider-Man meme territory now?
you know what it is. Kincaid is just like Pitts. He just is like he can't quite do what you need to do to be a dominant target volume tight end, but as a coaching staff, you invested in it, so you want to get him the ball instead of just having him play tight end. Instead of just like, when Noah Fant looked the best when he got traded to Seattle and they forgot that they spent the 12th overall pick on him or whatever. When you forget,
he didn't play. He was playing about half the time.
Exactly. Play about 45% of the snaps, play when it's a good spot for you, get the ball when you're open, not have to do oh shit. This would have been really funny if I forgot the name. You don't have to develop a Rune Goldberg machine to get Dalton Kincaid the ball, like you just, he should be in a timeshare with Dawson Knox.
He is. I mean, that's really what it's been kind of his whole career since he's gotten here when Knox is healthy.
Yeah.
Want to talk about Bryce Young?
Yes, I do.
I do too. So it's week 14, which is the end of the underdog regular season, but also big week in FFPC, obviously. I've got one where the bye, I lose Richardson, a final where I have to decide between Bryce Young at Philadelphia and Cooper Rush Monday night against the Bengals.
Oh, I think you go Cooper Rush, man.
The
Bengals are actively quitting. Like the Jamar Chase quote yesterday, I've never heard someone say this about their defense before. Jamar Chase said, "We're planning like we have to score every time on offense." The subtext there being our defense is not interested in generating a stop at all, which is true.
They can't move that game off Monday night because of the Simpsons. Do you know that? Like it's 2 pretty bad records. The Bengals and the Cowboys.
They did. I mean, they did a bunch of animation. They did a bunch of animation and like they have like Dan Castellaneta and what's Lisa's name? Whatever. They've done a bunch of animation and voiceovers and stuff. They spent a bunch of money on it, so they can't flex it.
Are they doing like a Nickelodeon Simpson? Oh, they're doing Simpsons.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, there's gonna be a lot of. I guess the Homer dope will come in handy there. Maybe plenty of that on defense.
I love it.
Cincinnati, Davis.
I'm such a huge Simpsons fan. Like I love it, and I like. Animation's hard work, man. The idea
Sure.
that the Bengals and the Cowboys would be such ass that this game becomes like unwatchable slop when all these people work so hard to make this stuff happen is so funny.
It's so
I know.
bad.
Well, this is not about Bryce Young. So what are we seeing here? Is it not pretty incredible that you have 2 quarterbacks, second-year high-end or high-pick quarterbacks, if not also high-end, together that both got basically shunned? We're done. And a lot of the takeaway was with Richardson and with Bryce Young, like this is over already. I don't know how you guys felt necessarily, but here we are a month or 2 later, and they're both on their feet at least.
Yeah. I think they both probably are done in the sense of like job security moving forward, what plan, like team planning, like what are you doing in the offseason? Are you trying to like add a quarterback that could realistically become the starter if this guy falters again, which he probably will? So, yeah, I mean, like Dalton, the problem for moving away from these guys is that the veterans in both cases, the play got pretty bad. Dalton's play fell off, then he gets in a car accident. Flacco's play absolutely cratered. So you kind of the coaches didn't have a choice really, but to kind of like in Canales' case, leave Young in because he comes back in, plays pretty well, and it's like, well, this is basically what we're getting from Dalton, so we got to leave him in now. And with Richardson, they had to go back to him because Flacco was just playing too bad, and you're going to get yourself fired because you played Joe Flacco too much. Like that just doesn't make sense. So
you talk about the coaches not having a choice. That may be literally true when it came to Indianapolis, and Carolina. There's no season to care about. All they should care about is the player. Where Indianapolis is a game out at this point, and we like their schedule. It was Detroit last week, but they played only close games, and they've got it pretty easy going forward. Thoughts on Richardson? We've talked about him each week, and you were ready to trade him after that Jet game. I don't know. Like, is it any different? No.
He still is not a consistent passer, right? Like, it just like I probably of all the people that exist on a continuum of Richardson, I'm probably on the closer to the side of being positive on him because there are so many people who are so vehemently he can't play. I also think that internally the Colts are discussing their options. They're thinking about what they could do. The very interesting thing about this quarterback class, and maybe I guess this will be a classic, like that's what people say and then it never happens. It's a shitty quarterback class. I would be very surprised if any of these guys, even Cam Ward, goes top 10. Cam Ward is
I'm like watching stuff like draft stuff now, and I'm like mock draft stuff. It seems like we're going to potentially get like 3 of these guys in the top 10.
Carson Beck, Shadur Sanders, and Cam Ward. I would, if I was a fan of a bad team, I would not. Shadur would be the one I'd be most interested in, just because I think there's more to work with there. But it's not the point of what we're talking about. The point is, I think the Colts would be discussing their options because Richardson. I think they've already proven with the benching. The organizational buy-in on developing this guy and playing the style of football he needs to play to win. It's like in the NBA, if you're going to tank, you can't tank halfway. You got the coaches got to buy in. The players have to know the deal. The front office has to know the deal. And then when there's one dissension in the ranks and then there's camp starts to form, like you get the sense that in the Colts building, there's probably Richardson people and anti-Richardson people. And it's kind of an eternal power struggle between who's going to win. And Steichen is probably talking out of both sides of his mouth to the GM and to the owner and everything. And like, once you get there, it's already over, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if removing the politics and whatever the front office is saying and to whatever extent that matters, I know what this is going to sound like. I'm going to have my moment like this where but Allen's career, right? I mean, didn't play high-level college football, was athletically gifted, but kind of a mess. And then it was year 3, like, okay. And he settled down and he became like, he's an all-time great already, I think. And Richardson has played less football than that, and they're in it. I don't see any way where he's not their QB1 week 1 next year at this point. And we've talked about how the backup you might not want to put the same pressure on him if that even matters anymore by then. So I think Young and Richardson,
I think they will though.
Next year starters.
I think like a Sam Darnold type or something like that. I mean, maybe Darnold's played too well to go there, but like
Darnold is going to like start the NFC Conference Championship game, and no one's going to want him, which is just so funny.
But I think they can't draft somebody, you can't restart, you can't take like another top, even first round quarterback. I think they probably can't get away with, but I think they almost have to bring in somebody as competition. Although I was listening to NFL Stock Exchange, and Connor Rogers made a point that I wish I had considered more thoroughly this summer. He said he was talking to Chris Sims and was like asking him about shoulder injury that Richardson had and how much that would have set him back in the offseason in terms of like developing for a guy that hasn't had that many reps. I'm like, yeah, that probably hurts. I do think with Richardson, like there is some sliver of hope that like he just has not played much quarterback in his entire career dating back to Florida. So maybe he actually does kind of learn on the job.
He's still under like 600 dropbacks dating back to being 17 years old.
And not to say he's going to become some amazing passer, but like he's basically Cam Newton, right? And the question is which year, right? Cam Newton when? Is it Cam Newton late stage Patriots?
I have a better comp.
Cam Newton a little earlier.
So I have a better comp that's going to sound insanely derogatory, but I don't mean it that way.
Let's go. Mm-hmm.
He's Tebow, where he can.
I literally said to Gretsch this summer during a draft, I goes, he's not Tebow, dude. But you might be right. He might actually be Tebow.
Now Tebow never had the arm like Richardson has. He's sitting on his knees. He can toss it 80 yards. You know, like he's incredible. I mean, we saw the AD Mitchell dropped like it was in the bucket, just like a perfect 50-yard touchdown
every week.
Yeah. Well, some of the misses have been on Richardson. That one was on Mitchell, clearly, I think.
Yeah. Mitchell was kind of lazy that he just like, oh, here's a ball, I'll catch it.
Yeah, you have to press the triangle for the aggressive catch, not the X for the secure catch. I mean, come on.
He acted like he was in practice. Like, come on, man.
No, it was really annoying.
Do we owe Quinn Ewers an apology for AD Mitchell and Xavier
Worthy, terrible. Mitchell terrible.
Can't get on the field.
Jatavian Sanders, getting outproduced by Tommy Tremble.
Oh, Sanders getting hurt was bad. I liked how that was trending. Look at what's happening with that offense. Thielen. I mean, Sanders against the Chiefs goes out with that neck injury.
Tommy Tremble played 100% of the Carolina Panthers offensive snaps yesterday.
But Sanders is out, no?
Yeah.
I mean, I liked how that was going.
It does. So Tim's saying that Mitchell being bad is really bad. If Mitchell was good, I actually do think he would be he is a perfect type of receiver because he can get open deep. Mitchell's like getting open nonstop. He's just
he literally leads the NFL in all the look at any of your open stuff, the fantasy point stuff, the open score stuff.
He's second to Malik Neighbors in open score.
For a while, he was number one in targets per route run. He probably isn't after yesterday, but I mean, you just like he is insanely good. He just and Worthy is good in his own way.
He's good
at some things. Yeah, that's the thing is they're both kind of good at some things, not good at everything. So yeah, we're officially apologizing to Quinn Ewers, who's another one of these shitty quarterbacks who's going to get overdrafted.
Like speaking of shitty quarterbacks, I've been meaning to ask you, Davis, about Milroe. How bad is Milroe?
So you're gonna love him. You're gonna love him.
Well, because I was looking and I was like, if this guy's a top 10 pick, it's basically the Anthony Richardson bet again, which I will make. I'm going to make that bet.
He's
hopefully a little cheaper.
So depending on the way you look at it, like Milroe, there's a little bit more to hang your hat on in terms of like he's had some insanely good moments in college football where he's made like truly dug into the depths of his soul to win Alabama some games. Then he's also had some games where you're like, I literally cannot imagine this guy even being a day 3 pick. Like the idea that this guy,
his downside looks like Willis-esque, like Malik Willis.
Terrible. Yes.
Yeah. Like he does. So Richardson he was super inaccurate, but he didn't take sacks. So you're like, you're not going to kill drives with sacks and mistakes so much. He's just going to like miss a ton of throws. Which made him the kind of
Milroe has like every negative trait you can have.
Like Milroe looks a lot like Malik Willis to me in a way that's scary.
He eats sacks. His time to throw is too long. He's not particularly accurate. I will say cost adjusted. I imagine I'm probably going to be a Milroe bull because so many people are going to miss the forest for the trees.
Hearing that, then I'm probably gonna have a bunch of Milroe because I was honestly hoping you were gonna give me a reason to like not be in, but I've seen him. He cratered like a couple weeks ago, right? But
people
seeing him go
people
like
hate him,
10.
Pat. No, people hate him. People hate. I don't know. Like you're seeing it in the chat right now. Like everyone's like, these dudes. He's Taysom Hill. He's terrible. He's ass. Like, I think he's probably better than that.
Taysom Hill out for the season, by the way, confirmed while we've been talking.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, as someone with 58% of him on DraftKings, I'm really not enjoying that.
No, me neither.
Richardson and Young, both, I think, clearly their team's week 1 starter. What kind of pressure they put in terms of who the backup is behind them? The same or less, based on what they each did this year. And maybe a situation like Wentz and Hurts, where a team like the Colts drafts a quarterback round 3 or 4, and then they try to develop them on the back.
I just wrote that up, Mike, in the stuff over my Patreon today, talking about the Panthers. Like, I think you probably don't take a quarterback with your first 3 picks, like your day 1 and 2 picks, but you really should take a developmental guy. You really should take a round 5, a Bailey. You should have a Bailey Zappi. You really should, because if your season goes to pot, which I think rightly they should run back Bryce Young again. Don't you think so, Pat? Like, they should just be like, well, maybe.
They should.
Honestly, no. If you put me in Dave Canales' shoes, I'm like calling the Saints and seeing if you guys are ready to get rid of Derek Carr. I'm seeing if the Falcons are ready to get rid of Kirk Cousins.
What you just said is one of the most depressing things I've ever
You're not
heard,
calling
man.
the Saints.
You're not calling.
I'm calling the Saints. I'm trying to live, man. I don't care what happens to this franchise. I got to keep this job.
I think if I'm Canales today, I feel like this year maybe is already kind of a win.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, you got 2 really good games out of Bryce Young when the franchise left him for dead. They owe you, dude. They owe you.
Yeah.
No, dude. So what's going to happen, though, is you're going to go in, you're going to be feeling good, and then Bryce Young's going to suck next year, and you're going to get fired. You have to get out of this somehow.
You got to get what you have to do. You got to get an extension. What you have to do is you have to be like, we could do Bryce Young again. I'm getting a 3-year contract extension though.
Canales,
you know what? That's right. You get paid. You get paid, and I'll do Young again. But I'm literally making every call, not to the Jets, but every other call. I'm seeing. Can I get? Is Rodgers a free agent, by the way?
No.
No, okay.
It's also his 41st birthday, so pay your respects. Come on.
Yeah, no respects. I'm not even calling the Jets, but everyone else gets a call. And you try to bring in like Darnold. I think well, I guess you can if you're the Panthers because of the trauma.
Canales has already won. This would be kind of funny. I'm not sure there's any precedent for it, but he's had this cool climb where he went from a quarterback coach for Geno Smith, and like he was given all the credit for that. Then he went to the offensive coordinator for Mayfield, and he got all the credit for that. Then he got to be the head coach for Carolina. It's sort of trending right. Maybe next year he could get that one next promotion to be a head coach for a real team.
Maybe.
Oh no!
Come on! I mean, nothing for that. Come on, this is bad. It's embarrassing.
I was pondering how likely it is. I think.
Right.
I think the answer is what I think I'm right. I think you just get an extension. If you say
I think you are right.
If we're doing the Bryce Young thing again, you give me an extension and I either eat it or you guys win and me and Bryce develop this great relationship and I solve it and the offense is great and we win. Also, the thing you have to remember, terrible division. Like truly like 9 wins could do it in this division. So the bar to clear, very, very like Kirk Cousins is what do you think? I guess Cousins loves money too much, so he won't retire. But like Michael Penix is starting for the Falcons next year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If Michael Penix is starting for the Falcons, maybe Cousins is available. You'd rather have Cousins than Bryce Young, right? Now, I'm not saying like to build a franchise around. I'm saying I'm trying not to get fired. Who am I starting at quarterback? Cousins or Bryce Young?
You want to get fired.
Why?
Get your extension, then you want to get fired. Canales is going to coach for at least 3 teams. He's young. Like, he's already got the reputation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're wrong. You're wrong. Mike's right. You get fired. You get paid. Well, except Mike, you don't.
Yeah, there's never been a hot name who ended in disgrace.
The thing is that you don't get double paid. So if you get fired from the Panthers, you don't get paid by the Cardinals. You know what I'm saying? You can't collect both checks.
I'm not saying Cousins would die behind the line, which is probably true. I guess I'm just
in the league a long time.
I'm trying to convey the desperation for understanding that I just don't think that Bryce Young is it. Like Bryce Young is still not the guy. And you can probably like, he's probably like Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Isn't he Teddy Bridgewater?
Actually, he's not. What he is he's like Jameis, dude. Like he plays, he's at his best with like he can't be a game manager. I remember Pat, you and I talked about this earlier in the year when he first got benched, like the idea of like, oh, he should get traded to Miami. And we talked about this and we're like, actually, he's terrible.
He's not a button
at
pusher.
He's terrible at being a point guard. He can't do it. What he can do is the touchdown to Thielen. He breaks out of he steps up in the pocket. He sees Thielen break and he throws it. That was that's kind of what you want him to do. You do not want him to be Teddy Bridgewater because that's when the tippy toes comes in. That's when the fact that he can't see.
You know what I'm hearing?
Here we go.
You got to trade him the Giants. Get Dayball, coach. I mean, he's kind of Josh Allen, really, if you think about it. You got that same on the move ability.
He makes, all right, settle down. He makes that play 30 seconds to go in the game for the lead. If they had held the lead, they'd still be in it. But instead it's Tampa. And
Adam Thielen, by the way, we should give Adam Thielen a little shout out for that.
Oh, hey.
One of the coolest sketches I've ever seen.
Almost swapped to him yesterday on some DraftKings spots and then didn't do it, and I really regret it.
He's very startable, isn't? I mean, Philadelphia, but Dallas, Arizona, Tampa. He's very startable in the fantasy playoffs. Thielen.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he is. And Bryce Young, you kind of stream him. I don't know, Bryce Young or Derek Carr rest of the way.
Tim says he's 5'9" Jordan Love. That seems. That's good.
Really good. Yeah,
I think Love is more of a button pusher though, in a way, and I mean that kind of complimentary.
Except Love the thing is Love fucking hates to push the buttons. You can see it. He's just like, dude, I want to roll out and throw it to Jontavian Wicks, and he's like, all right, here you go, Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah.
Like it's so funny how much you like that Vikings game where he threw 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Like that is Jordan Love's perfect game. Let me throw for 360 yards, 4 tuds, and turn the ball over as many times as I score.
57 minutes. Davis, you drafting after this? You got another stream starting next?
No, they I argued. I tried to talk to my friends at Underdog Fantasy all morning. The playoff best ball contest slate is up. You can see the playoff best ball slate. It's up on Underdog, but there are no contests live. So instead, I am going to I'm just going to record the Takecast early this week and get it out of the way so that we can stream for a long time tomorrow when I assume they get contests up.
Pat, Legendary Upside, what's up?
Playoff Best Ball Sidekick is live. Once there's contests, you'll be able to use it. Check that out at legendaryupside.com. We got Matt Irby's Quick Slant for the Monday Night Football game, weekly rankings, dynasty rankings, my walkthrough every week. Still just $10 a month. legendaryupside.com.
Cleveland, Denver tonight. Davis missed it. He was out on a date, I think, but Pat enjoyed joining Shopesgiving. What did you guys end up calling it? From the Sabres game from an NHL arena. I don't want to say it was a little loud.
Yeah, we called it,
especially for them.
We called it Shipsgiving, but once you called in, we changed it to Shopesgiving. We had to get new graphics and everything.
Appreciate that.
That was fun. Yeah.
The Bills are 10-2. I host a daily sports radio show in Buffalo at WGR, an Odyssey station. You can download the app for free. That'll be 3 to 7 today, Eastern time, and all week. And then Bills post game, they're at the Rams on Sunday. And it's been a fun year. So thank you guys. We're a minute early. Is that going to be a problem?
No problem. No. We can get out of here a minute early. Let me get the outro going. We'll see you guys.
Thanks for watching, listening. Talk to you next week.